Hi everyone, James Martin here. Listen, one of the phrases that you might hear so much in visual effects, and especially in animation of any kind nowadays, whether it be in movies or video games or any kind of medium of storytelling, is a phrase known as the uncanny valley. Maybe you understand what this concept is, maybe you don't. If you're new here, my name is James Martin. I'm a filmmaker and mostly a producer and a director and a writer. Of course, a lot of my content, well, pretty much all my content, is about helping filmmakers like yourself to make better stories and have a successful filmmaking career. I often document the stuff that I'm doing, talk about the behind the scenes of movies I've made and how you can copy the things that I've been doing and follow along in my footsteps. So if this content interests you, please make sure to subscribe for new content. Basically, the uncanny valley is when you have a character that's meant to look as realistic as possible, but they seem very creepy, almost kind of robotic, and you're not sure if it's meant to be realistic or not, because on one hand it has some realistic features, on the other hand they tend to act and behave like robots or like animations, and it feels really weird and strange. So basically what's going on when you see a phenomenon like this, what's going on is that your brain is trying to comprehend what it is that it's looking at. Basically, whether, like, say this character is meant to look realistic, so therefore you have more realistic expectations. Basically, if you see an animation that looks realistic and acts realistic, you can buy into them being somewhat realistic. But the moment they start not acting that way,
maybe they start acting very robotic and moving around in a strange way,
your brain is going to subconsciously be kind of bothered by this, because you're not sure whether it's some sort of robotic movements or whether it should be realistic. Honestly, if this is not making any sense, the best way I can explain to you is by showing you examples. And of course, it's not just one animator or visual effects artist, there's a team. Imagine this end of the chart where it's trying to be, where it's not realistic and they're just working on it. So eventually it's going to get more realistic and more realistic. It's going to have more movement and better design, stuff like that. And then it gets to a point where it's almost there, and then they keep pushing it beyond this boundary where it's no longer purely robotic, and they add some technical stuff like that. But then it goes into this valley, this dip, where it's meant to be so realistic, but it's not quite there. There's still like some very subtle movements or subtle changes that needs to get it from the uncanny valley and out, so it's a lot more realistic. An example, of course, we've all seen a lot of realistic animations from movies like if I were to point to video games. Them establishing an animation that's realistic enough that you can still buy into it, and it's not in that uncanny valley. It's not in that uncomfortable place where it's meant to be perfect, but it's not quite there yet. What can you do about it in your filmmaking journey? Well, I can't say much, honestly, because I'm not an animator or a visual effects artist. Basically, it just comes down to you need to make sure you have a team of super dedicated, hardworking, talented people, which a lot of them are, and people who know that can take what you have and try and tweak it that much more, and really spend the time to really just tweak it to fix those little robotic movements so that, you know, it eventually gets out of there and we can buy into the performance. It doesn't feel strange or weird. That's basically what the Uncanny Valley is. Hopefully you don't have that same issue as most of the other examples I just mentioned. So I hope this video helped you out, and if it did, please smash that like button and subscribe, of course, for new content. Good luck with your movies and stories, and I will see you next time.